Okay, well, yeah, right on. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's talk about our mutual friend, King Durin the Third. So, Peter, I feel like some of your juiciest stuff this season is directed by Wayne. How is it having him behind the camera?
Oh, Wayne was lovely. Wayne was really sweet. But no, I only did two scenes with Wayne. The rest of it was with Charlotte,
Oh,
the sort of heavy duty stuff. But no, all the directors on the first season were really, really sweet, very down to earth. I didn't work with the first director, Jay. I didn't. Yeah, I arrived and he'd done his. The Wayne and Charlotte both were they reminded me of David Yates, who did the Harry Potters, and what they do, which is tricky to do in a big budget franchise, and it doesn't come much bigger than the Rings thing. You've got to make it feel like you're doing a student film. You've got to make it feel like it's not a big deal. If you make too big a deal of it, you'll make the actors nervous. You make the actors aware that it is a big deal. There's a lot riding on it, and it costs this. And look at these costumes, and look at this set. And look at these. It's really vital that you keep your actors feeling safe and relaxed, and they can try things and they can fail, and then try something else, and hopefully give the director what they're looking for. But always, always, always make sure it doesn't feel like a big deal. And that's the key for all those big budget things, whether it be Mission Impossible or James Bond or any of those things. That one of the main jobs of the director is to keep all that stuff at bay, because if it seeps through, they'll just freeze. Because no actor in his or her right mind walks onto those sets for the first time and feels that they can fill that set easily. It takes a bit of getting your head round to tell yourself that you own this royal hall or this mountain or whatever it is you're in. You have to sort of weirdly pretend none of it exists, except when it's appropriate.
Well, in keeping it kind of grounded and making the character your own, was there any specific line in the script or the character description that kind of informed your performance? Or you're like, oh, I know this guy. I know exactly how I'm going to approach this.
Well, it was difficult in the sense that I never got the full scripts. I only got the scenes that I was in. And when they were originally sent to me, they give you all the security and these things are just ridiculous. So you had false names on the script and all that, which I found incredibly confusing. I couldn't understand why we were doing all that stuff. But anyway, for me, there was one key scene, and that was between Owain and I about father-son and about obligation and all this kind of stuff. And from an acting point of view, it was really simple. It was nicely written. It's father-son. I've got 4 kids. It's not a huge mental leap to imagine having a set to with your son who you love to bits, but you feel the responsibility of this, that, all that stuff. It was really straightforward. And the key for me was just how beautiful Owain is as both a character and as a person. He's a lovely, lovely guy and a lovely actor. So those kind of scenes, and Sophia's the same. Those kind of scenes, they're really, really easy to do. They're not difficult because you trust one another.
Yeah, well, and that scene, you both really go for it. I mean, it is as fiery as we see these two. Yeah. And you get the feeling that there's been that level of resentment building up a long time. Like, how was it working with Owain and figuring out just like, you were talking about trying different stuff, like finding the performance on that day.
Yeah, again, something like that. That day was a lovely day. It's great. It's great fun to do that because that's the fun of acting, is that you can be, particularly when you've established a trust, you can be really horrible to someone. And the great thing about it is when they shout cut, that person can jump up and give you a big hug. And they say, my God, you were really horrible. And you say, yeah. and wait till you see me next time, and all that nonsense that we do as actors is great fun. It's so anything that's rich and difficult is actually, believe it or not, is really easy, because it's enjoyable, and you're getting to explore, and you're exploring with someone who you trust and respect. The far more difficult scenes are when you're struggling to get from A to B to C, because maybe the writing's not really there, or maybe you're not really there, or maybe it's just not happening between you both, or all of you. Those are the hard days. Again, that's what we get paid for. It's a first world problem. It's not particularly difficult, but those are the tougher days. Whereas those lovely scenes when two characters are at loggerheads, but there's a subtext to it, they're great fun to do. So on the day that Owain and I did those scenes, it was deeply enjoyable and actually not difficult at all.
With something as monumental as, the Lord of the Rings, did you did you look to Tolkien's text at all to kind of get an idea for the poetry or the tone of this world?
No, because like I say, they never sent me the full scripts, and I knew this was like a prequel. So obviously I wasn't a Lord of the Rings kind of guy when I was a kid. I didn't read the Lord of the Rings. I was more, I guess, Dickens, Shakespeare kind of dude. Lord of the Rings kind of passed me by. I was more familiar with Harry Potter because I used to read that to my daughter. But in terms of kind of finding where that world was, when you're up at 3:30 a.m. and you're sat in a chair and they stick on a big nose and big ears and then put a crown on your head, and you walk out a trailer, your little trailer, at 7 a.m, and you pass two guys dressed as orcs. You find the world pretty quick.
Was there ever any part of was there any specific part of the makeup process where you kind of clicked into place as Durin? I've heard some people say that once they put their head the wig on, they're like, okay, now I'm an elf or something. But was there any part of the process for you?
For me, part of the process would be just so grateful when it was all freaking done. Breakfast. That's when I fall into character, was just get this, and then having to just breathe, because when you've had all that stuff done and you realize it's on your face for the next 12 hours. Oh man, I honestly see those guys that do Guardians of the Galaxy and all that. Hats off. I mean, Karen, I don't know Karen. Karen's a Scots actor, and she's wonderful in that show. And I watch her, and my daughter showed me how she gets her makeup on in the morning. Honest to God, really, I mean, respect. It's the stamina that requires. I mean, you're well paid for it. I'm not complaining, but it's a whole different game for me. It's not one I particularly enjoy. I was lucky because in New Zealand and now in London, the guys, particularly Sarah, who did my makeup in London, they're just so lovely, because I mean they're putting all this stuff on you at 3:30 in the morning. You need a nice relationship so you can chat, and it's not like you can fall asleep. Well, I can't fall asleep on that stuff. I'm too kind of wired. I'm too hyper for that sort of thing. So it's nice to have someone and some music and all that stuff. But there's no doubt, once you're in the cozy and all that, and you get a little look at yourself in the mirror, once you've stopped laughing, you then kind of get into. It's difficult when you FaceTime. Although I'm not like FaceTime, but I did FaceTime. When you FaceTime, your kids look at you and just scream, usually with mild contempt, because you look like such a dork.
This production had the unique distinction, the unique challenge of being filmed during COVID. How was it spending that much time in New Zealand and kind of within that bubble that was the cast and crew for so long? Yeah.
Well, I've got really close friends in New Zealand, so it was, again, very easy for me. The 2 weeks quarantine, it was me, my headphones, a car park, and Harry Styles. I listened to Harry Styles. I needed something light and poppy to just keep me, and that's what I did, and learn some lines. I mean, so that was pretty easy. And New Zealand, I love. New Zealand's a beautiful, beautiful place, and as I say, I've got very, very close friends there. So no, it was easy.
What about the, I mean, I was talking to Kate and I was talking to Ron, and there really is like the level of detail on these sets I've never, like looking at some of the special features I've never seen before. How is it walking onto like Khazad-dûm or any of these kind of worlds that they had built?
It's incredible. I mean, you've got to hand it to those guys. I mean, they create these worlds, and I mean, I was in one the other day, a big hole that Callan Brimbor lives in or something. I've never seen it before. And it was as big a set as any of the Harry Potters or any of those things. And it's impressive. I mean, and the workmanship, the skill, and the time they spend on it, and their attention to detail. I mean, some of that, the stuff that Kate did with the costumes is extraordinary. I mean, bonkers, but extraordinary. I mean, I've got stuff under my thing that's got special ties on it that nobody's going to see, no one. But she was very much of the mind that you should feel as special as a king might feel, you know, and that's a very nice way of looking at it. It can be a pain in the neck when you're spending like an hour to get a costume on. But I have to say, Kate, especially Kate's work, her attention to detail was exquisite, and it really, really quite something.
Man, yeah, it's been, I've been following your work since session 9, man. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, man.
Cool. Have a good weekend.
Take care. You too. Have a great one.